Hello, Kopi Bosian, and
Hi,
welcome. Hi, friend. Kopi
hi.
Bosian, and welcome to Gema Dalam Kesunyian atau Echoes in the
Terima
Silence.
kasih. Thank you for inviting me.
Program ini merupakan sebuah inisiatif Pusat KOMAS yang bertujuan untuk memberi ruang kepada artis atau personaliti untuk berkongsi cara-cara menangani isu perkauman dengan menggunakan kaedah seni. Hari ini merupakan episode terakhir kami yang memaparkan artis kita, Francissca Peter. So, thank you, Miss Fran. Let me do a bit of introduction for you.
Terima kasih.
We're very happy to have you here on
Sama, thank you.
with us. Okay, let me do some introduction for you about you. Although you don't need introduction, because it's the name that precedes you now, right? Okay, so Francissca Peter atau Fran, as she is affectionately known, has enjoyed a colorful musical career in Malaysia with over 20 number one hits, more than 40 hits in the local music chart, and the title of Best Female Vocalist for 5 consecutive years. She has 5 platinum albums and 2 gold discs and over 30 albums, including singles, albums, and compilations. This year, 2020, Francissca celebrates her 42nd anniversary as an artist, composer, lyricist, vocal stylist, and coach, as well as a judge for numerous singing, songwriting, and talent competitions. Fran is also the child sponsorship ambassador to the international aid organization World Vision in Malaysia for the 15th year running in 2020, and it is a strong advocate for child sponsorship to protect children and their families in poverty. She was featured in the Winning Women Coffee Table Book 2019 and in the special edition of Malaysia's 100 Women of Influence 2019 by Prestige magazine. Wow, Fran, this is so amazing. And I'm honored to be the moderator for this segment. And okay, let's have a kickstart to our session today, which will be for an hour. And since we are live on Facebook, I would like to invite our viewers, siapa yang menonton pada hari ini, sila hantar komen atau soalan kepada artis undangan kita hari ini. Jangan malu-malu bertanya banyak-banyak soalan. While we have friend with us, we make full use of this time to communicate and to connect with Fran. Okay, Fran, Ba, first of all,
Yes, Bah.
tell us about yourself, a bit about your childhood, and what made you venture into the music industry.
I think childhood-wise, house was always filled with music, both kinds of music, and we all kind of grew up with that, loving music. And when I got into music, it was by accident, um, because we had, some difficulties growing up also. And when I got into music, it was something to help, what you call this, my family get out of poverty as well, and that's why I'm kind of like a strong advocate as well. Okay, well, when I got into music, it was more like I ended up becoming more like the breadwinner in the family. We had some difficulties as we were young. We were quite poor, and I thought that was the only way to maybe earn a living quickly. And so at 17, I decided that maybe I should just become a singer, because that will bring in an income. And at that point in time, my mom was worried because when it comes to music, entertainment, the old days there's this mindset of drugs, sex, alcohol, and all these kind of things. But somehow I think thank God, it has brought me along, brought me here today as I am. But when I first started out, my first audition, I had an audition and it was at the Federal Hotel. It's a long time ago. And from then on, it moved me on to I joined a band performing in a discos, and then after that came Roy and Fran, and then from Roy and Fran after that it moved on to Francissca Peter, the solo performer, artist. So that's where I am today.
Thank you. I've shared with you before, your voice, the person of you became famous when Satya flashed across the screen on RTM, and we started singing that song. And until today, my children, our children, are singing the same song with the same gusto in school. So I'd like to think of that song as a unifying factor for children, school children, even for adult Malaysians across the board. Okay, our topic today is about echoes in the silence and artists in the race against racism. Because we have seen the ugliness of racism rear its head, particularly during the first phase of the MCO, when everyone was really locked in, and then I don't know, maybe it caused a lot of stress juga. Orang yang stay di rumah ni, jadi keluarlah dia orang punya racism through the social media and all that. And how effective do you think that creative media is in disseminating messages, in this case against combating racial discrimination?
I think creative media is very effective. As long as they use it in a very positive way and to bring a nation together rather than divide. There's so much that you can do because you're able to reach out to so many people, So I think that they have we all have a responsibility actually, because we are all using this, on social media especially. We are all using a platform. So I think we should be able to use this in a very positive way, a constructive way, and not to divide, and not to what you call it, prod on race and religion. It's very unhealthy. Like for instance, you see how things have happened. Suddenly everybody is voicing out. Everyone has an opinion today, especially since the Black Lives Matter thing happened. Yeah.
Everyone jump on the bandwagon.
And then you see what exactly jumping on a bandwagon. He's jumping on a bandwagon for what reasons? Different people have different motives, different agendas, and different reasons. But many of us, we want this. We want to come together. We do not want division. And when you look about even some of these people, like talk about overseas and all. That's why I say for us also, locals, either you're artists or in the arts, or whether you're a performer, we all have an ability to bring people together and not to speak ill and push people aside. You can see what Beyonce did also, as one of the artists. Also, we have I love Zuna's artwork. I think he's an incredible artist. I'm always drawn by his artwork. It's so cute, and that's a word like that from someone like me is cute. I love his artwork, and he represents a lot of when he draws as well. It's very interesting, interesting, and I think there are a lot of people out there today who would love to use this platform, a media to get their positivity out there, to get the word is kita tak cukup pergaulan. Tak kisahlah bangsa apa. I can speak for, since I'm from West Malaysia side kan, so I can speak for here, I think there's not enough pergaulan, and I think it is so sad. You cannot say that we have friends when if we are one group of Chinese or one group of Malays or one group of Indians, and then you say, oh yeah, I got Chinese friend, I got Malay friend, I got Indian friend, but then I said, when you see them, you actually see they're all only grouped in their own, and to me that's not We need to break that up and have a best friend who is of another race.
I agree with you.
Sorry.
Tapi,
You know,
betul.
and not just a lunchtime friend, thing from, that kind of thing.
More
No.
BFF ba? BFF from other
Yes,
group of
yes,
friends.
it's wonderful.
Tapi di
Yeah.
Sabah biasa begitu, friend. In Sabah we have friends from various religion and background and racial
See, that's
makeup.
why I said I can only speak from here. This part. Because I know I've done, travel to Sabah, Sarawak. It's such a. I am so moved and amazed by how amazing everyone is over there.
So that's what.
Don't ever lose that.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep the fingers crossed that we will remain that way for the longest time to come, kan? Okay, so we are back to the topic. The focus of
Yeah.
Echoes in the Silence is about countering racism with creative media, kan? You mentioned Zuna. Just now, Zuna was our first guest on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah, so I mentioned it just now when you were listening. So I mentioned him again. So how would your music, your songs, and activism, your work address this issue of countering racism with your creative media?
Well, for me, I can pick on examples of like, say, my recent concert. I think that's the biggest thing this year because now we cannot have concerts as we like in any place, anywhere with huge audiences. None. It doesn't exist. So my concert, I think this was the biggest concert for 2020, and it was held at RTM. So very grateful that they did this concert, and they did a very grand one too. I'm so pleased. And like this, having when you talk about pergaulan and my positivity of how we can defeat racism in all walks. I've always wanted to have, like Yorang Asli, I always wanted them to have a platform because there are very many talented, gifted people. Like during my concert, I invited my friends, the group Nyata, and they wrote this song. And this song is called Gimbak Kita Mana. It's about this deforestation, where's my forest, And so they wrote this song, and this song is actually on my album called the Love and Hope album, which was released under the World Vision Malaysia. And so all the proceeds actually go to our child sponsorship funds and things like that for as well. And so for them, having them on my show was a huge thing because why? I wanted to see more of them also involved in this field because some of them are amazing artists, songwriters. Like the song they wrote was a fantastic song, and anyone can go to my YouTube channel and you get to hear it and just come by my YouTube channel for that. And also in my concert, also I tend to like from before when my first show on RTM TV. Also, I was always doing different languages as well. Like sometimes I throw a Hindi or Tamil song or a Chinese song, and so I've always done that sort of thing. And this year, again, in my concert, I decided that I will also throw in those two languages as well, Chinese and Tamil, in the concert. So for me, it's not so much about anything. It's about that integration because we are a multicultural country and it's very diverse. And so we also have, we have come from different backgrounds or whatever, but we also have our own family. Some people speak Tamil or some will speak Chinese or, you've got also, or asking have their own languages as well, and plus, even if you come from the north, you speak Bahasa Malaysia, different kind of slangs and,
dialects. Yeah.
So, dialects, things like that. So it's about the appreciation. It's about the appreciation of that diversity that we have. We shouldn't be, feel angry or uptight about someone singing a particular thing or whatever, because it's music. It's music. And a lot of us also, Malaysians, they love to watch like Bollywood movies or whatever, and they all start singing Bollywood songs and things like that. It's because Bollywood is actually basically Indian movies. So it's like you've got Tamil, you've got Hindi, and all the greatest writers are all actually from the south, of India. So unless I'm wrong, but I know that they are. But anyway, so it's one of those things that we bring people together. So that's what I want to see. So pergaulan is something that is lacking today.
The third question, I have the question for you, which is, we have seen a rise in artists standing up for human rights now more than ever. Could you, as an artist yourself, provide with an insight of what this could mean? Sekarang lagi ramai berani speak up kan? Kalau macam ada something that is not rightly said or done in the public, then more artists are using their platform and their voices to.
As long as, like I said, always as long as they're using it in a positive way and to bring people together rather than to push people away. And I think also it has to come also from our leaders as well. It's important that they also focus on these sort of messages to bring people together, which I know they try to do, in their own way, in their own ability. But I think more should be done to schools and all sorts of places. I mean, the world itself, I think, there's a lot of racism is something. Some people, maybe they are just that way because out of fear, they tend to become that way because there's no reason to be. Fear is a terrible thing that actually pushes people to become like that. Or there are some quarters who they've had personal experiences with different races, and then they are unable to or incapable of thinking that just because of one bad apple doesn't mean that the whole basket is bad, of apples, So they need to learn to not be that uptight. I mean, if I talk about it, there's this experience that I had a long time ago in 1987. Some of you may remember it. Some of you probably not born. I don't even think you were born yet, but maybe
born already, born.
A little toddler baby. But
teenager already.
1987, it was my third solo album, and I remember I had a cross on the album. I wore a cross. I always wore that cross. It was a gift my mom gave me, and it was this little, my finger, teeny little crucifix. It was that small, but it was obvious that somebody had a mic, had this little, magnifying glass that they could actually see it so clearly that they decided to create a ruckus about it. And, everyone was jumping out of their skin over it and accusing all sorts of things. And I was not, what was the amazing? I was more sad and hurt than anything else. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even angry, but I was more hurt because I thought that I could not believe that somebody was pinpointing on something like that. And here I was bringing joy, bringing joy and unity and a world together. And I was so glad and happy that I was able to be part of that. And it just took that one moment that could have crushed me completely to become an angry, bitter person, resentful. It could have taken me that way, or it could have made me even very, very hateful. But I was actually more hurt and sad than anything. And I would never wish that on anybody, anyone. I was never the type of person who had this sort of feeling of you know, revengeful, spiteful, hateful, or even became bitter. No, because at the end of the day, I felt like, you know, this is all probably some uh, uh, someone who's probably jealous. There's number of artists who came out, started speaking up and saying, you know, and I also thought of quitting, and they said, no, 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 she should such a great artist, she shouldn't quit. You know, no, no, this is some people who are jealous. So it's all about that kind of thing. So I let that be.
That time you were
And
just back in Malaysia, or were you still in the
no, I
States at
was
the time?
here, 1987. I was here, very much here, riding high and getting platinum after, and that album also got me a platinum. So there, you know,
So,
thank you to my fans. I love them, and you know, in fact, my music actually had all the races were buying my albums, even Chinese, Indians, everyone. But till today, even still, my Malay fans, my, you know, those Indians and Chinese who also have been listening to my stuff. And then after that, it came the journey of Satya. And Satya yet again brought a whole new level once again to try to push that integration back.
well, I'm glad you did not turn into somebody angry and bitter, and I'm
No, I
glad
don't
you
think
never
I don't
stopped.
think it's in my nature. I'm
Yeah.
a bit of a sucker when it comes to things. I'm a bit of a, you know, I would say I'm a love child.
You're full of love, you're full of positivity, it radiates
Hey.
through the screen. Hey, for the record, I was already a teenager when in 1987.
Oh,
I
yeah,
finished
wow.
school already at the time. So that's why I said you are in the background of our youth, and you carried on. And
Great,
that's
I'm
why,
glad. Thank you.
and luckily I had to control myself today, otherwise I'd be going all over. So anyway, all right. So yeah, using creative media in a constructive way, not to push people away, not
Correct.
and using something negative, something so painful to
Yeah,
go beyond that.
yeah.
Was it difficult for you to get over that pain, to move on and to, take off? You just flew off after that. You had
I think it's
more
also
songs.
partly, I think it's also partly your parents as well. They are very,
Your parents also need to go to, yeah,
my mom, you know, they're very different. But yet, you know, I could share a lot of things to them. And of course, my father passed away in 2011. But before his passing, you know, I had a number of years at least. We shared a lot of things politically, as well as all sorts of things that he used to talk to me and my siblings as well. We shared a lot. And he educated us quite a lot on a lot of things, which I'm grateful for. And my mom, you know, I think it also stems from them. I think it's very important as well. Whatever bad experiences your children face in their daily lives, we as adults, we have a responsibility to not let them feel um, negative about something that could have hurt them or happened to them. But if the parents are good parents, they will channel it in a positive way so that the kids will not be emotionally and mentally distorted, because that will carry down future, and they will be resentful and continue to hurt. So you also need the strength of parents. Parents are very important, how they speak to their kids also. Even if they've had some bad experience in their life, whether it's with a different race or whoever the race is or whatever the race is, that they don't bring it home and then they start prodding and telling their children, I don't want you to mix with
yeah,
this and that.
yeah,
You know, that is not healthy. That's not going to bring them, because everyone has bad and everyone has good.
yeah.
But we must take the good in that and push forward to be united as a country. We are already fighting a invisible enemy now. We can't get our grip on that. It is here with us forever. That talking about a pandemic, how are we going to bring ourselves together? We really need each other now, you know, more than ever. So we cannot.
Well, when you mentioned the pandemic, actually during the MCO, it brought out the best in people. So everyone from the confines of the four walls of their homes, they were able to reach out by giving bantuan kewangan, and people were
Yes.
willing to go out and
There's a
help.
lot of, yes, there's a lot of
Mm,
positive too. There's also a lot of negative as well,
yes,
which maybe these are people who have been so frustrated probably,
yes,
and then they're taking it out on certain corners, certain quarters, But on the other side of it, there has been also a lot of positive help, which is good. But let's hope that it continues to bring us together,
yes,
more than ever, so that
yes,
the future will be great for our children,
yes.
in unitedly. Yeah.
Um, just now you mentioned, Fran, about parents' role and how they should raise the children in a proper way. Um, Best practices in parenting is only like what we learn as parents, even if sometimes what our parents tell us mungkin tidak ngam dengan diri kita sendiri, dan kita cari cara yang terbaik untuk mendidik anak-anak kita supaya jadi manusia yang lebih baik, yang lebih yang with more passion,
Yeah.
understanding towards friends of different background, classes of the society, and all this kind of thing. So we come back to bullying. I share a little bit. My son was told once in primary school, he's in secondary now, that he will not go to heaven because he is kafir.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the
Okay.
word that is used. But what I told him is that it's okay. Let other people say that to you. Maybe they were taught that way, but don't retaliate. You have other friends.
Yeah.
Look for other friends who will lift you up in school.
Yes.
Leave the bullies
Correct.
alone. Don't. The more you retaliate, that means you're going to go down to their level. Because you
Because
are
you only encourage them to become more, yeah,
to become
bold,
angry, to become,
angry.
bullies,
Yeah.
school bullies.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling you. Anyway, I said, well, in our kafir heaven, we have bacon and beer, so okay, we
But you
can
know
have
what,
party there.
people? Ayo. But anyway, you know what is the sad thing about this? That's why I say parents play such a huge role in their child's life. Whatever the outcome in the child that you see that is bad stems from the upbringing at
Yes,
home, what's
yes,
happening in the house,
yes,
you know? And that's why I say it's so important when parents, if you've had a bad day, and then you come out and say, ini orang memang macam ini orang, ini punya
yeah,
bangsa macam ini.
yeah,
And then you're thinking, why do you talk like that?
yeah,
Because your son or daughter might have a best friend who is of another race in school, and they just are so grand and hitting you out. And then you instill such remarks that
yeah,
actually can actually, disturb the child and thinking that they can never be that close to someone. But you can actually.
yeah,
I've grown up with so many different races, and I've got such good friends in all walks of life, all different races. And I've never had that sort of kind of a thought whereby, we make fun of each other sometimes with our races and what we do. Sometimes we can be so silly in
yeah,
our own way because of the background our race is or whatever. But having said that, it's not about, we are not like uh, angry at each other,
yeah, yeah,
because we are good friends, we are close, we can take it with each other. Today marah, so besok tak apalah, so you should have said that lah, and then you're back together as
yeah,
friends
yeah,
again. Say,
yeah,
I'm sorry lah, yeah, but I guess you are right. And then you come to that platform and say, okay, like you're right, I'm wrong, and you're right. But it is important, like parents play a very important role because our children today need to know that they all need each other. We cannot say that you are better than you or
yeah,
you're above that. And one thing we all forget, the major thing of all, God made us all. None of us are above God.
yeah, that's true.
God is the Almighty,
Yes,
and
that's
He
right.
made us. Without us, where would you be? Me, Malay, Indian, Chinese, Matsale, whoever, where would we be? God made us all.
Amen to that. Okay, there ada soalan dari penonton.
Woo!
I said, is
Woo,
there a
takut.
difference? Is there a difference between being an artist of your time and now? Does racism exist in the industry? Itu soalan dia.
That's a very interesting question. I have to say that I think my time, I think in the 80s, it was even more, I think, there were a lot of many races also singing Bahasa Malaysia, lagu-lagu Bahasa Malaysia. Today, I think you can count maybe. I don't know why. I really do not know why that is. Because there's so many incredible, talented people. They may not be famous, some of these, artists. They can also be Malays, but they're also Indians and Chinese. They can sing very well in BM, but they seem to be now using the alternative way. Because those days we had record companies, but today everyone is going on to YouTube, social media. They're just they're doing their own thing, online. They really don't need a label anymore, and they're putting it out there all independently. And I think that is another side of it being wonderful. And some of them are getting so many hits on YouTube.
They become influencers.
Like really unknowns, and suddenly when they get so many hits, only baru je diorang dapat, nyanyi. But maybe the I'm not sure about why, maybe Indians and Chinese, they are there, they are coming, they are doing stuff as well, but I'm not sure whether it is partly to do with anything at all, or is it maybe because everybody wants to be known. It could be many, many reasons. They just want to be known internationally, maybe, and not just confined to their home country. That's why they sing in other languages, or they sing in English more. But then there are also many of Indians and Chinese who want to sing in BM, but maybe they also do not know how to channel their way around, to get into the industry. But they can, because there are many platforms to do that. But because it is a new world, the younger generation now depends solely on social media. So I think that's probably why. I think so.
Does racism exist in the industry?
Racism is it's a bad word, really. It is really a bad word. Today's day and age, we should not be like that. I think there is a little bit, maybe a little bit. But it depends on who are the people you're working with. Like I always say, it is because of, there will always be some people who are racist and those who aren't. And sometimes we are around those who are maybe not that way, racist. So we are actually blessed to be able to work with those who are not racist. And they're just nice and wonderful people. And then for those who are, maybe sometimes certain artists, maybe they are confronted with that particular side of it, and then they feel that, they are not going to call us lah, that kind of thing. But it does exist. It does exist.
Okay. It's something it's something that we cannot totally ignore, and it has to be addressed at certain level. It has to
Yes,
be.
it has to. It has to be addressed. And like I said, I would love to see, like I still, at the end of the day, on a platform, if you have a bunch of performers, it's always nice for me to see, like, if there's like 5 Indians, 5 Chinese, 5 Malays, and they're all performing together on stage. Now, to me, that says, la, Malaysia.
Tolong
Kan
lah,
cantik.
don't forget the kadazan dusun murut
Yeah,
rumus.
I know. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I'm here, West Malaysia. It's so hard, because I'm here. I'm in this side, and you guys are there. You guys are really so wonderful. You're so tight. You guys are tight, man. You're like orang asli, my wonderful friends.
I just
You
had to
guys are tight.
I had to put that in, okay, because people always say Melayu, Cina, India, ataupun seluruh Malaysia termasuk Sabah dan Sarawak. So that is something
Okay
that
lah,
we
let
need
me
to
just say
stop saying.
seluruh lah. Seluruh Malaysia, sini dan sana.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
betul, betul, betul.
let's try to work towards that goal, that goal, to work towards that goal.
Yeah,
We must do that for the sake of our children, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
yeah.
This is a very bleak time. We can pray for peace and love and unity and for that harmony that we want. Like Tunku always wanted that for this country. Tunku, he just, that was the kind of legacy he wanted. And why? Why not? And why shouldn't we have that? You know?
Yeah. We should, and we should always try to encourage this among our children and our young people. Okay, lagi ada soalan lagi di sini.
So East, West, orang asal, orang asli, all very important.
Yeah.
Jangan lupa, nanti saya kena marah pula.
Okay, ada soalan lagi, friend. Dia tanya di sini, can you share the story of your music and singing that made different races to look themselves as Malaysians? Oi, tough betul kau punya soalan ya.
Yeah, it's a good question. I know everybody says lagu setia kan was the thing that actually brought the whole country, everyone singing in schools, and it has those beautiful elements, the lyrics are written by Hafsah Hassan, all talking about that unity, which she had
Tiba.
taken steps of the Rukun Negara, So, I think that was a time where I think everybody was quite, and everyone, all races know it. I mean, even it's funny because people thought, I used to have people say, only Malays who listen to Malay songs, that kind of thing. I say, please give me a break, because when I see my fans, they're not just Malays, but they were Chinese, Indians, and you're all singing Sekadar di Pinggiran and Setia. And I'm thinking, come on, they like it,
Yes, that's
so
true.
don't laugh,
Kau
and you'll
lilin
be surprised,
cintaku.
Yeah, because you'll be surprised. Not all Malays also listen to the Malay songs. Not all Indians also will listen or Chinese also. There are some who are like more like suka lagu bahasa Inggeris lah, hip hops and whatever. They like all those things. But it's not to say that we haven't evolved. We also have that kind of stuff in our national language too. But at the time when I saw it all, my music had really branched out to all races. And you can see when they all get together, they all know the song, and then they
Everybody sing.
surprising each other. Hey, you know that song? I say, yeah, lah, what you think? Or you ask each different race, Malay also be surprised. Hey, you tahu ke? You tahu ke? I say, Pastilah tahu, things like that. It's quite funny, but it's very sweet when you hear people talk that way. Malaysians talking like that. It kind of reminds you like when you're going to the wet market, my mom's time, and how the Indians, my mom, my young, those days, Indians, Malays, Chinese at the wet market, they were like family.
Everyone knew everyone.
Yeah, and then they'll be sitting at the kopitiam, drinking, together, eating together. Never say like, oh, I cannot eat here or that,
Yeah.
but we were eating together.
Yeah.
I used to see that because I used to take, when I was on school holidays, during my secondary year, just before I think we moved up to KL, I used to work at my auntie's place. They had a coffee shop in Ipoh that time, So they had a coffee shop, and it's like a typical hut type of coffee shop. And then Malays were eating there, Indian, Chinese, everybody was there. My auntie is Chinese, my mom's Chinese. So and I used to go there and spend my weekends washing the cups and plates. Just to earn some money. We can pocket money. But it always goes to my mom. I will give it to her. And so when I grew up watching that. I want that back.
Yes.
I want that back so bad. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paling shock tuh.
I
Everyone
know
sitting
because
at the table.
it feels like we are all this one big family. You are all this one big family.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of family, let's look at our request ya. Sekarang bukan soalan lagi, ada request sudah untuk. Okay, it says here, one of the requests is, could you sing a line or two of any of your songs that highlight the fight against racism or being inclusive? Apa dia lagu? Orang Sabah bilang, apa kau lagu?
I can only think of one song that will represent that. I have songs that are very motivational, but motivational is something else altogether. Well, I've got that song lah, I guess.
Take it away.
Yang tercinta dicurahkan bakti penuh setia demi raja tinggi sanjung tinggi kesetiaan tak berbelah kepada rakyat hikmat diberi sama bekerja, sama bersetia berhikmat untuk semua rela saja amanah bangsa tetap jaga kami penuh setia untuk agama bangsa dan negara.
Thank you. Sedapnya suara. I feel
And
like
I'm sitting down.
Okay, and another one here says, another comment here comes in. Thank you very much, Rindula, your voice. Betul-betul.
Don't
Okay.
forget, I'll be on Merdeka 31st, variety of artists on RTM. So don't forget to watch that. Merdeka special.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, good. We look forward to that. Okay, ada lagi komen sini, friend. Dia tanya, hi friend, I'm a fan of your songs and totally agree with you when you say many who sang Malay songs in the past. Betul lah. Okay, we have time check about 8 minutes to go.
Okay.
Since you sang Setia just now, and I mentioned this earlier, my friends and I, we sang Setia in school, in our school assembly. My children are now singing it in school. And
how nice.
yeah, and it always sung with a gusto, with so much passion and love for the country when we sang that, and because you sang it beautifully.
Thank you.
And this is saya rasa lah kan, inilah satu-satunya lagu yang dapat unite, menyatukan kita semua. Tidak kira lah dari mana kita berada, bila kita nyanyi lagu Setia nih kan, rasa bangga, rasa sayang kepada negara tuh keluar. Unity
Memang you have to rasa bangga because why? When you are Malaysian, anything and anywhere you go, so you represent your country. So you have to carry yourself a certain way, you know, and respectfully also. And you have to be proud of your country.
Yeah.
And you have to, that's why I say when you want, when you say nationalistic means you're proud of your country, you're proud of being Malaysian. And when you say proud of being Malaysians, all Malaysians, that pergaulan itu mesti ada. It has to. And I really look to the leaders, you know, our PM and all our ministers, that they please bring us together, you know, in harmony, justly, fairly, and harmoniously.
So, amen. Okay. There's one more. We would like to play the Setia song afterwards, the original
Okay.
one is later on, as we taper off towards the end of this talk show lah kan. Semua the comments, all the positive comments are coming in on Facebook. You can tune in later on and check.
Fantastic. All of them going to buy me dinner. All of them going to buy me dinner.
Aduh.
Better buy me dinner. Another song also that's really wonderful is Kau Lilin Cintaku.
Yes.
That's another one.
Cubalah
That song I
nyanyi.
dedicated to our frontliners masa tu when we started our first lockdown.
Yes.
I tell you, I decided to do that because kat rumah also, you know, we talk about all the success and awards, but since, you know, we had our lockdown also, we did a lot of programs for nyanyi kat rumah, and then I did my own also, nyanyi di rumah as well, you know, for the fans, you know. So I hope they all log on to YouTube, my channel, Francissca Peter, and then they can see more and all the stuff that we've been doing as well. And Kau Lilin was one of the songs that I also recorded kat rumah, which I dedicated to the frontliners. It's all about care, you know, care. And we care for you and because they cared for us, you know. And we must continue to care because this invisible enemy is still here.
Yeah. I saw that when that because that one of the profound songs like that, you know, that I remember as part of you. And then I saw it being dedicated to the frontliners. And I was like, it was amazing. That was it's a very nice and very humble, what do you call this, a touch that is so genuine. To say thank you to the frontliners, no, because they are battling
Absolutely.
on the
Yeah.
front line for us. And
And we must be responsible too, you know.
yeah,
Don't forget, with all that's going on, we must be responsible too. Because if anything happens and doctors, nurses, our cleaners also fall sick, who's going to do all this work for us? Who's
yeah,
going to help us?
yeah,
Nobody, you
that's
know.
true. Yeah,
You know.
that's true.
And Malaysia
Okay.
belongs to each of us equally, all races and all faiths, all religions.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming towards the end. Time flies so fast when we're having fun, and we are having
No,
fun.
I don't want to
I'm
go.
having
Please
fun.
don't let me go. Please don't.
Hey, yeah, friend. Okay. Okay, so as a closing, before we play your song for the end, the Satya song, right? So hopefully to send a very beautiful message again to remind people how we should be to exist, to coexist with each other in harmony. Okay, so what would your message be, friend, to everyone out there, to our viewers and the younger generation?
Again, I stress so strongly, tadi kan, to say that we are one country, one people, regardless of race and religion. And East, West, orang asal, orang asli, Malaysia belongs to each of us equally, all races and religions. So for the young people, it is also important. Let us know each other and love each other.
Aduh, I also don't want to let you go, but the time is almost up. And we're going to play your songs. I hope to meet you in person. Thank you very much, Fran, for joining us today on Artists Against
Thank
Racism.
you.
I wish you the best, and yes, I hope to meet you in person one day. You take care.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much, and all the best to all of you all at KOMAS.
Thank you. So, kawan-kawan, kita sudah sampai ke penghujung kita punya talk show, program hari ini, yaitu Gema Dalam Kesunyian. Dan bergema kita hari ini dengan kehadiran Fran, dengan suara dia yang masih begitu mantap, mantul, dan segala-galanya yang masih banyak dia. So, terima kasih kerana terus bersama dengan kami. And we hope to meet you again another time. Walaupun ini yang terakhir bagi siri ini, tapi Pusat KOMAS akan meneruskan untuk mencari ruang dan memberi ruang kepada suara-suara yang mungkin tidak kedengaran ataupun kurang kedengaran. So, Kotohwa dan terima kasih. Thank you once more again.
Sama-sama, terima kasih.
Jumpa lagi.
God bless. Bye.